Hey everyone, so as you might know, well, actually, as you probably don't know, oh, sorry about that. I'm a huge fan of both Undertale and Hearthstone, and I thought it'd be really cool if, hey, what if I made a ton of custom cards based on these characters? So, that's basically what I did. I took all of the main Undertale characters, and I turned them into Hearthstone cards, and I'm basically just going to quickly go over them and show you guys my perspective of how they would work in real Hearthstone and if they would be good or bad or just eh. So the first card is a Shaman Legendary. Also, most of these are legendaries. So it's a 5 mana 5/9. Whenever you play a card, summon a random mech. Now, this can be either very good or very bad, depending on what you get. Because you can get either like an Annoyotron, or you can get a Sneasel Shredder. So, it's really just a flip of the coin whether you get something good or bad. And in the real game, it would be fairly good. It wouldn't be meta-defining, but it would be pretty good. Now, the next card is Asgore. It's a Paladin Legendary, and it's a 9 mana 9/10. Destroy all minions, and that doesn't include himself. Now, this card is interesting because it's basically a better Deathwing. So, it's very good. But, it gets rid of the whole discard your hand thing, but you still have to destroy your own minions. So, I think if this did exist, it would be fairly okay. It wouldn't be great because, Deathwing on its own isn't, the best card. And this would just be slightly above that. So I think this would be, it would be okay. It would be better than Boulevard Dragon at least, or Fordring, or whatever. Now the next is the Rogue Legendary Chara, 6 mana 5/5. At the end of your turn, destroy the most powerful enemy minion. Now this is interesting because let's say you clear your opponent's entire board and all they have in their hand are huge minions. And they play it, your turn ends, and they kill it. But your opponent can also just play a ton of small stuff, and it'll just kill the small stuff, and then they kill Chara. So, it can either be very, very good or very, very bad, depending on what your opponent's doing. And I think this would be fairly good. It would probably be kind of used in almost every rogue deck. Basically every rogue deck. This one's the only original character. Disclaimer, I'm not a huge fan of original characters myself. This is the only one I actually like because I don't know. I really like the Ass Blog. The character seems funny, and So that out of the way. Here is Air Sands. They 6 mana 6/8 Warlock Legendary. It's Battle Cry. Destroy all other minions on the battlefield that aren't from the basic classic set. Now this is interesting because it can be very good or very bad. Just kind of like a lot of the other cards. But this one relies heavily on your opponent. And you can just deal with not killing your own cards by just playing a ton of basic and classic cards and kind of bypass that. Sorry. And the thing is, it really just depends on what your opponent's doing, because if they're playing a ton of cards that aren't from the basic classic set, it's great. But, if they're playing a ton of cards from the set, then it's bad. So it really does just rely on what your opponent's doing more than anything. So I think it wouldn't be great. It'd be okay in most decks. Now this is actually the only card that is not Undertale related. It's the Fake Card Printer. It's a rogue card, rogue epic. It's a 5 mana 4/5. Put 4 fake cards into your opponent's deck. Now, what is a fake card, you ask? It is this. It is a 0 mana 0/1. So you basically can just mill your opponent faster because they get a ton of fake cards. You're left with useless cards and just make it faster to discard. So I think this would be fairly good in mill decks, and it would be used in most. Now the next card is Flowey. He is a 3 mana 3/5 druid. Choose one. Heal your hero for 7 health or deal 7 damage to the enemy hero. So it's one off for, also, the stats are already amazing by themselves. Just +1 health for 3 is great. But, so it's basically a 1 health less heal bot for 3. Or you can deal 7 damage to the enemy hero for 3. And you also get a body. So this would be very good. It'd be used in practically every druid deck. It wouldn't be meta-defining since it's small, but it would be very good in the early game. Even in the late game, it'd be great. Now, the next one is Frisk. This is the only neutral card that's made in these, because, you know, Frisk is kind of neutral since... Never mind. So it's a 6 mana 5/5. Battlecry, give all minions this minion cannot attack. Now, this is very, very interesting, because it can be good, or it can be bad, like, well, a lot of these cards, because if you have a board, this is bad, but if you don't have a board and your opponent has a board, this is good. But this also doesn't bypass taunts either, because you still have to kill the taunts. So this would be, it would be kind of like this is sort of gimmicky, but I think it would be used in a lot of decks. It would be used in most decks that can't get a grip on the board very well. So I think this would be used in a fair share amount of decks. Oh, let's ignore that for now. That too. It's, okay, this one's Metaton. It's a, also the other neutral, I lied. It's a 4 mana 3/5 mech, Battlecry, give all mechs 3/3. Also, it's not, he doesn't give himself 3/3, don't worry. He's not that overpowered. Now, this card, like many of these cards, rely on what your opponent's doing. Because if they're playing with a few mechs on the board, you kind of need to clear them before you can play Metaton. And if, you know, it's very good in a lot of mech decks. Mech Mage, this is insane. But you also gotta be careful of what your opponent's playing. So this would be fairly good, but it can also be very bad. Now the next is Papyrus. It is a 4 mana 4/5 hunter legendary. Gain a spaghetti card at the end of your turn. Like every turn. Now, what is a spaghetti card, you ask? It is this. 2 mana, give all friendly minions 2/2. Now, this card is phenomenal. It could just be used in every single aggro hunter, and it would be amazing. You just throw it into any deck, really. It's amazing. It's kind of like Dr. Boom, you just throw it into every deck. Now, oh, this one is the only card that isn't related at all to anything. It's a 6 mana 6/8. Your opponent draws cards at the end of your turn. Because, you know, you draw cards at the start, so if you draw them at the end, you don't really have time to play or react to whatever cards you get. So this is interesting. Also, fun fact, the error is actually just a highly zoomed in image of error sands. It actually is. But this card would be, it'd be okay. It wouldn't be great, but you could throw it into a deck here and there and just see if it works. So it's one of the more fun cards to use, probably. And the next is Sands, one of my personal favorites. A 8 mana 6/8 Battlecry, summon 2 2/2 Gaster Blasters. Now, Gaster Blasters are these. 2 mana, well, the mana doesn't matter that much, unless you want to bounce them back. It's a 2/2 Death Rattle, deal 2 damage to all enemies. So it's basically 4 damage to enemy hero, and a Flame Strike, if you can kill them. So this is a very good card. Very good. It'd be used in most mage decks. It's kind of just one you throw in there, kind of like a lot of these cards. So it'd be used fairly often. The next card is Turtle. Now, this is probably the most overpowered card out of all of these. It's a 4 mana 4/7 Priest. Battlecry, heal all friendly characters to full health. So it's a Reno, except you don't need to have one card. It's amazing stats, and you heal all friendly minions. It would be used in every Priest deck. There's no denying. It'd be used in every Priest deck. It's amazing. No doubt about it. Now here's Undyne. Another one I really like, that this is actually probably one of the most balanced cards out of all these. It's a 6 mana 6/8, equip a 5/2 magic spear. And this is a battle cry, so I didn't add that. There's a few mistakes in a few of these cards. And the magic spear is this. It's a 5 attack, 2 durability. Whenever you attack this weapon, deal 2 damage to all enemies. So you're dealing 12 damage to the enemy hero, and you're also dealing 2 damage to all minions. So this is very good. It'd be used in... I'm not sure if it'd be used in Control Warrior. Actually, no, Control Warrior would use it. Actually, no, both probably Aggro and Control would most likely use this card. It'd be used a lot. Now, the final card today is WD Gaster. It's a 6 mana 6/6 Warlock. Switch all other minions with your opponent. So this is interesting. It's another card that relies on what your opponent's doing. Because if you don't have a board, and this is the only card you played, you get their whole board and you basically win the game. But if you have a board and you play this, you know, it's over. You can't play this if you have a board. So if you already have a board, this just gets stuck in your hand. So it's more of one of the more gimmicky cards, but it'd probably just be fun to see in a lot of highlight clips, if anything. So that was about all of it today. I hope you guys enjoyed these as much as I did making them. Hopefully I can make some more videos soon, depending on what you guys want. So please ask, what do you guys want me to do? And hopefully I can fulfill that. So I'll see you guys later, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. See ya.